tonight down to the wire. Presidential candidates now in the final sprint to Election Day.
Are you ready to make your voices heard?
Both Harris and Trump blitzing battleground states.
Together we will fight, 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 and we will win, win, win.
We visit Pennsylvania to see how votes there come into play. Also, the election outcome and the impact on Canadians.
Free trade again is in discussion, and I think that will affect us very much.
Ottawa under pressure to offer more support to those fleeing Lebanon.
Welcome to the Eras Tour.
And Taylor Swift sets her sights on Toronto.
I really encourage our Canadian markets who get to have Taylor Swift next to embrace it.
What fans and the economy can expect. Plus, a walk to remember.
To connect the communities with veterans and the opportunity to pay back.
The unique venture to help honor veterans through a crosswalk of gratitude.
CTV National News with Heather Butts.
Good evening. This was the final Sunday in a roller coaster election campaign. In less than 48 hours, the race for the White House will be in the hands of voters, though millions of Americans have already cast their ballots at advanced polls. Both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump held multiple rallies today, while analysts try to make sense of some new polling numbers. CTV's Geneviève Bushman is in West Palm Beach tonight.
With just a few trademark Donald Trump campaign rallies to go, he asked voters to make him leader of, quote, a failed nation.
Our country is a crooked country, okay? It's a crooked country, and we're going to make it straight. We're going to make it straight, and it's not an easy thing to do.
In a blitz through 3 swing states, he unleashed a long list of complaints against the voting system, claiming his enemies are fighting hard to steal the election. Also denying the 2020 results and suggesting he should not have left the White House.
We had the safest border in the history of our country the day that I left. I shouldn't have left.
He labeled Democrats as demonic.
She's in Detroit.
While Kamala Harris was at a Detroit church, her 4th consecutive Sunday before a black congregation.
I see a nation determined to turn the page on hatred and division.
After the service, she urged voters not to be discouraged by Trump's claims, warning them not to fall, she said, for his tactics.
I think includes suggesting to people that if they vote, their vote won't matter.
Getting our civic duties done, everybody.
More than 77 million Americans have already voted in advance polls and mail-in ballots. At a community center in West Palm Beach near Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago, there was a long lineup.
Very nice.
Among voters, members of a congregation who turned up in their Sunday best.
This is our voice. Our voice has to be heard, and our voice can be heard better than any other way through voting.
Amen.
Harris supporters set up camp near the polling station.
I'm very optimistic that we are going to have a female president.
I'm seeing a lot in the advance polls. A lot of women are voting. They're outpacing men in the voting, the early voting.
I'm seeing that too, and I hope it continue the momentum.
And a surprise in Iowa has encouraged supporters. A poll puts Harris slightly ahead in the state considered not in play for the Democrats, though it is just one poll in a roller coaster election.
This latest poll seems a bit off.
Florida, though, is in a red state where Trump is expected to win big once again.
And Trump will be here in West Palm Beach on election night. Today, the local county sheriff promised there would be tight security on hand. Heather.
Geneviève Bushman in West Palm Beach. Thank you. Pennsylvania has emerged as a critical battleground state. In the final sprint to Election Day, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have focused a lot of attention on gaining those critical votes. Our chief anchor and senior editor, Omar Sachedina, takes us there.
Oh, that's all I hear. I don't hear nothing else.
In Pennsylvania, it seems everyone knows the stakes.
That's all. Time I turn around, and it just says Pennsylvania. It's all up to you, you know?
Of the 7 battleground states, Pennsylvania has the most number of electoral college votes, and it's also a bellwether, meaning it has the trend of picking the person who will be the next president. An early call here would say a lot about the outcome for the country.
I think too often people don't take the time to actually look and see what did they vote for, what did they actually do. They just believe the political rhetoric on the TV. And unfortunately, those commercials are made by millionaires who have another agenda. And so I think that it's great that Pennsylvania is actually one of the ones that's a swing state.
I voted for Harris.
I'm voting for Harris.
But this election, Harris is struggling with a group Democrats used to be able to count on, black men.
Trump.
How come?
When he was in the first time, I had money coming out of my pockets like I was a drug dealer.
Part of that perception is based on stimulus checks handed out during COVID, when the economy was tanking. Checks Donald Trump put his name on, even though the Democrats had pushed for the relief in Congress.
I think a lot of the time, especially like younger audiences, not even just black males, but just our generation kind of just takes things as they see them on social media and doesn't do their own research, don't really look into policy or anything like that. They kind of just believe what they hear.
There's a big divide here between urban and rural. Donald Trump's message seems to be resonating with blue-collar workers who've seen manufacturing jobs decline, while Harris has more appeal in bigger cities.
Both candidates are really trying to, penetrate into those rural areas and, get to voters.
And tonight, less than 48 hours before Decision Day, Pennsylvania remains the battleground of battlegrounds, Heather. Trump and Harris locked in a dead heat.
And Omar, after traveling more than 1,100 kilometers through 3 states, you are now in Washington tonight. What security precautions are being taken there ahead of voting day?
Well, behind me actually is the White House, and you can barely see it right now, and that's because there is new fencing that has gone up across key sites here. D.C. police will be dispatching 3,000 police officers who will be working in 12-hour shifts. We also know that in 3 states, Washington, Nevada, and Oregon, the National Guard has been put on standby just in case. Again, there are no threats right now, but officials are just staying prepared in case something happens. We, of course, will be following the security situation, the final sprint, and the results with special coverage, Heather, starting tomorrow.
All right, Omar, thank you for joining us this evening. And as Omar mentioned, CTV National News will have live continuing coverage from Washington starting on Monday. With all eyes on the U.S. election, there is concern in Canada for how the outcome will impact this country, from trade and border security to the value of the loonie. Here's CTV's Rachel Aiello on what's at stake.
As the U.S. presidential election campaign enters its final days, Canadians are bracing for how the result will reverberate beyond the border.
It's going to have impacts around the world, not just Canada.
There's a lot at stake with either a Democrat or Republican win. Canada is facing pressure to increase defense spending.
Canada, you can do better.
There's also the border. If Trump wins and follows through on his mass deportation pledge, Canada could see a surge of asylum claims.
It would be a real challenge for us.
And with U.S. protectionism on the rise, trade relations could strain again. Kamala Harris voted against the revised North American Free Trade Agreement. Both she and Trump, who triggered the last round of high-drama renegotiation, have vowed to review the deal.
The tariff questions will have to be mitigated and dealt with responsibly by whoever's the Prime Minister of Canada, next year or the year after.
The federal government says it's been preparing for the U.S. election for months.
We're going to be ready to deal with whatever gets tossed at us.
Some Canadians we spoke to today said they're keeping close tabs on the tight race.
Free trade again is in discussion, and I think that will affect us very much.
It's very scary.
It will have an impact on us, and I guess we'll have to just wait and see what happens.
The result of Tuesday's vote will be consequential for Canadian consumers. Trump is threatening tariffs that risk raising prices higher, and there's the potential that the loonie could dip in value again, just ahead of a busy cross-border shopping season. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Lebanese Canadians desperate to get their family members out of Lebanon are pushing for more help to bring them to Canada. Many say they've been left with unanswered questions. Critics are calling out the federal government while pointing to Canada's response in helping Ukrainian and other refugees. CTV's Kamal Karamali reports.
As Israeli strikes continue to decimate neighborhoods in Lebanon,
the number of displaced now surpassing 1 million.
So they're wondering what comes next.
Lebanese in Canada are growing frustrated, not knowing what to tell family members of Canadians looking to flee.
They've been trying to apply for visitor visas for their immediate family members, their spouses, their kids to come with them, but they're being refused. And then when they contact the embassy, they're being told, we can help you get seats, but we can't help you get status.
Last week, Ottawa announced it would allow Lebanese nationals and their families who've already left Lebanon to extend their stay in Canada and apply for work permits. But that still leaves tens of thousands in Lebanon still looking to come to Canada for safety. They say the immigration process is too limited and difficult to navigate compared to those in place for other countries caught in conflict.
It was quicker, more transparent, more concise, more flexible.
When Russia invaded Ukraine, Canada allowed an unlimited number of Ukrainians to escape the war and live in Canada for up to 3 years. This Liberal member of Parliament has been pushing her own party to implement those same emergency measures for Lebanese people.
We have done special measures programs previously, like we have done for Ukraine, we have done for Afghanistan. We did some for Sudan.
The immigration minister's office says it would be inaccurate to compare different programs as geopolitical realities vary. Critics argue otherwise.
Treat all the communities equitably and fairly. They say that is discriminatory.
The federal government's promise to match donations made by the public in support of Lebanon, set to expire today, has now been extended by 2 more weeks in hopes more people will donate, but the same people receiving those funds are continuing to hope for a gateway to safety. Heather.
Kamal, thank you. Several people have been arrested after a suspected leak of classified documents about Gaza involving an aide to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Families of hostages held by Hamas are expressing outrage.
The families that we represent, the families of the hostages, they've been subjected to so much misinformation during that last year that we think that the first priority of the court today should be to remove any hurdles so that the families can get the real situation, the real information.
The court agreed and loosened a gag order. Netanyahu denies wrongdoing, adding the person in question didn't receive classified information. Critics say the leaks were aimed at giving Netanyahu political cover as Gaza ceasefire talks ground to a halt. A crowd of angry survivors of Spain's deadly floods threw mud at the Spanish king today. A group of enraged survivors unleashed their fury against officials over their handling of the situation, upset by what they say were delayed storm and flood alerts and a late response by emergency services when disaster struck. Following the incident, the king and queen continued their tour of the hardest hit areas. More than 200 people have died so far. It appears to be business as usual for Canada Post as long as the two sides keep talking. The union entered legal strike position today, but both sides agreed not to give the required 72-hour notice of a strike or lockout, quote, as long as the talks are productive. The Crown Corporation's latest offer included annual wage increases equivalent to 11.5% over 4 years. The federal labor minister is urging both sides to reach a negotiated settlement. Still ahead, the Eras Tour on the move. Taylor Swift wraps up in the U.S. as she prepares to take over Toronto. Taylor Swift and her legion of fans are just weeks away from arriving in Toronto. The pop star is in Indianapolis, wrapping the American leg of her record-breaking Eras tour. Her next 6 shows will be in Toronto, then 3 in Vancouver. Everywhere the tour stopped has seen a huge economic boost. We sent CTV's Allison Bamford to Indianapolis to get an idea of what Canada can expect.
This is downtown Indianapolis, but for the weekend, it's Swift City, and it's leaving big shoes for Toronto to fill.
It's like a whole different culture and vibe.
Everywhere you look, signs big and small that Taylor Swift is in town. Friendship bracelets passed around, elaborate outfits, and sequins everywhere. Indianapolis planned for 200,000 visitors. Some even made the trip without the guarantee of seeing the show. You don't have tickets then, right?
No, but we're just here to experience all the festivities.
The tourism industry prepared for more than a year,
If you go up this street,
orchestrating dozens of Swift-themed events over the last 3 days.
I really encourage our Canadian markets who get to have Taylor Swift next to embrace it. It's an incredible opportunity for a city to shine and be on a national, international spotlight and all of the attention that Taylor Swift brings.
Indianapolis, Indiana, welcome to the Eras Tour!
Swift's 3 sold-out shows are expected to inject hundreds of millions of dollars into Indy's economy.
It is, in every sense, an economic boom for Indianapolis.
Local businesses are hoping to benefit. Inside the city's oldest steakhouse, cooks are ready for their busiest weekend of the year.
I can seat, I think, 500 people at a pop. I'm hoping to do that many, many times over.
Around the stadium, police have streets blocked off to traffic. Not a problem for fans traveling by foot, but after the concert, gridlock.
it's part of the experience.
Taylor Swift in the car on the way back to the hotel, it's gonna be fun.
And for hundreds of officers, they're working to keep everyone safe.
This is not a rowdy crowd. They have caused zero problems. Us interacting with them is a deterrent, but it also makes people feel good when they know that there's lots of police presence.
In 2 weeks, Swifties will take over Toronto, then Vancouver, bringing with them the same energy. Cities say they're ready for it. Allison Bamford, CTV News, Indianapolis.
A surprise second chance for a young Swiftie who missed her favorite Idol's Vienna concert when it was canceled over a security threat.
A guardian angel saw your story and was hoping to get you to the show, and you got 2 tickets to see Taylor Swift.
An emotional Stella Whitehouse when surprised by CTV Ottawa's Caitlin Wilson.
I made her a promise in the streets of Vienna that we would go.
Forever grateful for it. It's very, very exciting.
The mother-daughter duo will finally get to see the sold-out Eras Tour later this month. Coming up, using new technology to build homes.
Allowing us to keep the existing people that we have, but giving them the tools to do more.
How a Canadian company is using virtual technologies and robotics to help solve the housing crisis. Robots are rapidly building a reputation for helping to speed up the construction of housing units. Comes at a time when the industry is in flux, with more companies leaning on innovation to get the job done. Here's CTV's Alex Carpa on one new team member helping to automate tasks.
A robot known as Val 2.0 could be part of the answer of Canada's housing crisis. It's already operational and is working on a construction site near Kingston, Ontario.
It's going to be the first and largest neighborhood in Canada using an on-site robotics strategy for construction.
The robot, developed by Ontario's Horizon Legacy, has a robotic arm which makes concrete-like walls with speed and precision. Young says Val 2.0 is overtaking the manual, repetitive parts of the job.
She supports the team so that they can focus on, the brain work, thinking work.
According to Statistics Canada, labor productivity in the sector has dropped below levels seen in the 1990s. Nyung says the robot is not meant to replace workers.
What Val is doing is allowing us to keep the existing people that we have, but giving them the tools to do more.
The University of Manitoba is transforming the way students are taught construction education with the use of virtual reality and augmented reality technologies.
You can create a fully furnished room with all the alternatives for materials or furniture, and then you can switch them to different alternatives to see how it would look in real life.
The technology keeps teams of designers, contractors, consultants, and clients updated in real time, reducing the need for constant back and forth communication.
Everything can now be done in a virtual space where different employees can work together with with different departments in a company as well as their clients.
In addition to this technology for construction education, the University of Manitoba's College of Nursing is also using VR headsets to teach nursing students real-life scenarios and a feeling of what it's like to be in an emergency room situation. Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
From AI to art, we're learning more tonight about a famous Montreal mural of a British Bulldog.
I knew how much joy it'd bring to a lot of children. I thought about being a kid driving by and being like, there's the dog.
Meet Tilly, a 6-year-old British Bulldog who passed away. This 4-story memorial appeared in 2016 and has become a local landmark. Tilly's owner paid for the mural guarding over a Montreal highway. Her owner, who asked to remain anonymous, says losing Tilly was like losing a family member and is happy the entire city has a best friend looking down on them. After the break, honoring a soldier's sacrifice through art.
This is shaping up to be quite a memorable Remembrance Day.
Turning a crosswalk into a canvas of gratitude. As Remembrance Day nears, Canadians are already paying tribute to veterans and soldiers. And for one Alberta man, he's hoping a commemorative crosswalk will serve as another symbol of gratitude. Here's CTV's Kathy Lee on what inspired the special salute.
The days leading up to Remembrance Day are marked by poignant gestures, honoring the fallen soldiers and those still serving.
People may not say anything, but they know that because of them we have what we have today.
The respect to them is paid at a field of crosses, commemorating the more than 3,500 Southern Albertans who made the ultimate sacrifice.
This is a great way to remind ourselves and teach our youth and all the kids how to pay tribute.
And beyond this powerful tribute, another way to remember. The ask to the city of Calgary is for this crosswalk to become a canvas of gratitude.
The hope to connect the communities with veterans and the opportunity to pay back.
And paying back in a permanent way, well after Remembrance Day is over.
That's what's key, is just keep the conversation about the men and women who've served this country at the forefront of every discussion all year round.
This is shaping up to be quite a memorable Remembrance Day.
The unique nod to veterans recently adorned the street in Chatham-Kent, Ontario, near the cenotaph, where pedestrians have been traversing the artistic tribute.
It means a lot to the veterans. Like I said, I've seen a couple of my people out here looking at it today. I walked in that branch yesterday and that's all I heard was they got it up, man, they got it up.
And in Stony Creek, Ontario, a colorful salute to veterans at this crossing. The hope these pieces lead to action.
Pick up the phone and maybe, reach out to Veteran Food Bank, the Home for Heroes, the Legions, and say, what can I do?
And to ensure the younger generation never forget each time they cross the street. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
That is our newscast for this Sunday. I'm Heather Butts. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching. Good night.